I finally told my dad I don't forgive him. My whole life, I was told to let it go or stop being so sensitive when it came to my dad. People made excuses for him like, he had a rough childhood, he's just old-fashioned, he didn't know any better. For years, I swallowed it all, I stayed quiet, pretended everything was fine, laughed at his jokes even when they cut deep. But the truth is, he broke me. Not in some dramatic, obvious way, but slowly, over and over. He was controlling, dismissive, and constantly belittling. He'd yell at me for small things, call me lazy or stupid, and then blame me for ruining his life. He lied to my mom, cheated on her multiple times, and spent money meant for bills on booze and gambling. I remember hearing him yell at her late at night and feeling completely helpless. He didn't just neglect us, he actively made things worse. He stole money from my family to buy himself cars and a house he didn't deserve. He used his connections to dodge responsibility, acting like he was untouchable while we struggled to get by. When my grandma died, instead of stepping up, he took what he wanted and left everyone else to fight over the rest. I spent my whole childhood trying to get his approval. Good grades and polite manners never made waves, but nothing was ever enough. He'd compare me to others just to make me feel small. Why can't you be more like your cousin? Or, you think that's hard? Back in my day, it never stopped. Yesterday, during a conversation, he made another joke about me being too sensitive and overreacting. Usually, I'd laugh it off or bite my tongue. But this time, something inside me broke. I looked him dead in the eye and said, "You hurt me for years, and I don't forgive you." He got defensive, said he did the best he could, and that I was making things worse than they are. But I didn't argue. I told him I wasn't pretending anymore, that I'm done protecting his feelings while mine were ignored. Now I don't know where we stand. I feel lighter, like I'm finally free from carrying his mistakes. But I also feel guilty, like I just burned a bridge I don't know how to rebuild. I don't know what happens next. I don't know if I'll regret it or if he'll ever truly hear me, but I said it, and that means something. Thanks for reading. I just needed to get this out. I accidentally joined a neighborhood cult thinking it was a book club. This happened like a month ago, and I'm still not sure if I made friends or if I need to call someone. I just moved into a new neighborhood, and I saw a flyer on a bulletin board by the grocery store. It said, Community Book Circle, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. All are welcome. I like books. I need friends. Easy decision, right? So I show up at this lady's house with a copy of the Midnight Library, a bottle of wine, and zero expectations. I walk in and everyone's super friendly, like weirdly friendly. Hugs, warm smiles. One guy offered to polish my aura. I figured maybe they're just super into healing crystals or something. We sit in a circle. Nobody has a book, not even one. Red flag number 1. The host starts talking about aligning our spiritual frequencies with the great knowing. I thought maybe that was the name of a novel I didn't read yet. I laugh. No one else does. Red flag number 2. Then they pass around this bowl of what looked like mashed beets and told me to commune with the root. I politely declined. They said it was okay, but the ancestors would be disappointed. I'm sitting there like, ma'am, the only ancestors I talk to are in my family group chat. Eventually, we all hold hands and hum and sync while someone lights sage and reads what I swear was a poem, but might have also been a spell. I'm too afraid to ask. When I finally left, someone handed me a pamphlet titled, Awaken the Seed Within. I'm still not sure what that means, and frankly, I don't want to. The worst part? I told them I'd come back next week just to be polite, and I did. Now they think I'm fully on board, and one lady keeps calling me her frequency twin. I don't know how to leave. I still have the pamphlet on my kitchen counter. My dog won't stop sniffing it. So yeah, I joined a cult. Accidentally, but they make really good lemon bars and no one's asked for my bank info yet, so it could be worse. I found 50,000 hidden in the wall. I thought about using a throwaway account to post this, but no one in my family is on Reddit, so... A little backstory. Starting in January of this year, I wound up with my grandparents' house after my grandfather passed away. Both my grandparents were of that generation who did not trust banks. They would only keep money in a bank up to the FDIC limit and would go to a different bank if they hit that number. They also would hide cash all over the house in secret places. The house was built in the 1960s. Nothing extravagant, 3-bedroom ranch-style home, but a great house in a decent location. There were other family members who turned down wanting to live in it, so the initial plan was to sell it to a developer who would tear it down and put up some shopping center to rent out to businesses. Well, I'm a millennial, and I had basically written off ever being able to afford a house. I went to my family and I said I was interested in having it since it was going to be torn down otherwise. I gave my mom a down payment and I pay her $500 a month until it's eventually mine on paper. The house had never been remodeled. It always looked the same. The entire home had wood paneling and dark linoleum flooring. There was also some extremely dirty carpet in a few places which had to go. The house was in great shape, but it needed some love. I hired a contractor through a friend to take down the wood paneling, install drywall, and put in some new laminate flooring and molding, which is how we actually get to the story. In the hallway, there was a vent where you would put your filter for your HVAC. I came to find out this was a completely fake vent that did not hook up to anything. I just happened to be at the house when the contractor was taking down the paneling in the hallway. He called me in there and said he found treasure. There, stuck in the wall beams above this fake HVAC vent hole, was a black lockbox that was heavy and obviously had something in it. I did not feel comfortable trying to open that in front of him, so I took it and put it in my truck to try to open later. And oh boy, when I finally got it open with a screwdriver, I was shook. It here in 2,000 I-bundles of $20 bills was a total of $50,000. It was immediately obvious no one knew this was there. If they did, it would have been collected a long time ago to divvy up with the estate. I was stunned for a while and wasn't sure what to do. I thought about giving it to my mom and her brothers for obvious reasons. I thought about splitting it with my brother, but decided against that idea, which brings me to my conclusion. My brother has a drug problem, a big problem. He has 2 very young children, one not potty trained yet. Due to an unrelated tragedy, I am helping take care of them full-time for the foreseeable future, which made me conclude to not tell anyone at all and use that money for the kids for all of the things they need. They both have cleft palates, which involves a lot of doctors and speech therapists, and then daycare on top. It's felt like this money was meant for this cause. Like in some way my grandparents left it behind to help us help the kids. Such a wild story. I have been wanting to tell someone. Thanks for reading. Edit. Thank you all for the posts of encouragement. The kids are being taken care of, and I'm very grateful to have this blessing to help provide for them. I loved my grandparents so much, and to have this final act of love from them has been humbling and beautiful. Thank you guys for letting me share. My stepmother sucks. I don't know if this is the right subreddit, but I needed to talk about it. My stepmother is literally an adult child. She literally cries or get upset if I forget to say hi. Like, she doesn't help around the house at all. She doesn't throw her beers away. She only ever helped my granny and me clean when her son comes over. She suspiciously quit her job just a few months after moving in with us because she was getting bullied at her job, and like, yes, I get it, that's valid. But what's weird is that my dad keeps telling her to go to HR or to find another job to help because we're poor as hell, and that he's literally working 13 hours a day and he's still struggling. Hell, even my 73 years old granny is working in vineyards to help. And I can't help because I'm a student and fully committed to it. She literally just acts weird whenever he asks and says, yeah. She scolds my dog for BS reasons when my beautiful sweetheart Yuki, German Shepherd, barks, she screams at her instead of calmly asking her to get back in. And my dog is literally naturally meant to guard. She basically is trying to please my dad and only my dad, and will agree with him all the time, for example. I couldn't go to school one day because I had my period, and my dad said, "You don't seem in pain," because during the evening I decided to come out of my room and spend time with them. And I told him that my cramps were painful, but I had times when they weren't during the day. And she said, "Periods aren't that painful. Please shut the fuck up, please." Also, every time my dad is in the wrong and I get angry at him, she suddenly jumps in to defend him. She gets jealous of me when I spend time with my dad because God forbid I hug my dad. She's jealous of my older sister, who's not my dad's daughter. Keep in mind that he raised her. So WTF is her problem? She body shamed my 14 years old little cousin and told her she had no ass when I wasn't there. She yells at my 73 years old granny and gets mad for no reason. She's living with us because the house me and her lived in was full of mold and we had to move. She doesn't have a job and no source of income, but for some reason she still has money to buy packs of beers. She drinks a whole packs in a day. She also somehow is able to afford cigarettes. One time while my sister's son was at our house, he was being a troublemaker, and that's like normal for a child. And she started saying he changed and started crying. Girl? He's 6 years old. During a Christmas dinner, there was some emu's meat, and I said, "I don't like emu." And my dad asked where I already ate it, and I said, "At Mom's," and my stepmom whispered that I was a liar. I heard her, and I yelled, "What?" And she started panicking. We were eating dinner again, and there was nuggets. I picked one, and she was like, "I wanted some." She literally whispered it in such a hateful way, like, "You're pushing 50, just say you want the fucking nugget." She defended one of her sons who's a pedophile. He dated a 15-yo while being 21, and she even criticized the girl. There's more, but I'm too lazy to write the rest. Send help. I got both my bosses fired because they were thieves. This isn't quite revenge, more like petty justice. Also, sorry for the wall of text, but it's a good read. I was a manager at a small chain grocer several years ago. It was a shitty job in the bad part of town, and I was working 50-plus hours a week on salary, so no overtime, and I was attending college. I was tired AF. Our store had 3 managers: store manager, Dylan, assistant store manager, Jim, and third-level manager, me. Dylan was an okay guy, sometimes a jerk, but usually easy to get along with, and a thief, could not prove it. He also scheduled me to work nights like 6 days a week, and he wouldn't budge on that. So I had to deal with the shitty lunatic customers that only come out at night, all the time. It was extremely frustrating, and it wore down greatly on my sanity. Jim was a complete moron with a room temperature IQ, did half-ass work, thought he was hot shit because he drove a motorcycle sometimes, and was a thief, could not prove it. When I would come into work in the evening after class, employees would always vent to me about how Jim was bossing them around while he sat on his fat ass all day. There was not a lot I could do except offer a listening ear and laugh and cut up with them while we finished our shifts. I was usually the only manager working in the evenings, but Jim and I had scheduled one night to work together on a project that needed both of us to be there, probably rearranging shelves or new product placement or something. We were getting ready to leave, and I was going to take my cash drawer to the back to count it. Jim asked me to wait a minute because he needed to buy some packaged butchered meat for dinner. No problem. He came back with a 5-pound package of beef with a ridiculously low price, like $3 or something, and it had a sticker with a correct but different item description we didn't use. I ran the cash registers a lot and was very familiar with our products. I didn't say a word and rang him up. When he walked away, I reprinted a copy of his receipt and stuck it in my pocket, and we closed up for the night. I was scheduled to open the store the next day on Saturday morning, so when I arrived, I walked to the butcher room to investigate. I found the plastic wrapper from that package of beef with the original price tag in the trash can, so I grabbed it. I also found that the pricing scale that prints the price stickers had that wrong label still selected, and he had manually keyed in a dramatically lower price per pound. I grabbed one of those stickers too. Then I walked to the DVR in the manager's office and wrote down the timestamps of the footage where Jim took the meat off the shelf, into the butcher room, and walked out to my register where he bought it. I stashed the evidence in my locker until Dylan came in around noon. I showed the evidence to him. He got in touch with our district manager, Rocky. Rocky called Jim the next day and asked him come to the store, and after a short behind-closed-doors meeting, Jim was fired with cause, so no unemployment benefits. Shortly after, I was promoted to assistant store manager. Justice was served, and nobody missed that loser. A few months later, we got a piece of mail from St. Jude Children's Hospital. It was a fundraiser package to collect quarters for leukemia research. I thought it was a great idea, so I had the cashiers ask for 25-cent donations to put in the little cardboard stands they sent us. After the program ended, we had collected about $250 in donations. I kept the donations in the safe. The instructions in the fundraiser said Western Union was one way to send the donation in. That was down the road from us, so it was easiest. Dylan took the money to Western Union, and when he returned, I asked him for a receipt. He said he didn't get one. I was suspicious. A few weeks later, we got a letter in the mail from St. Jude. It was a thank you letter for our generous donation of $50. That fing bastard stole money that could have saved a child's life. I was raging inside. Roughly a year later, Dylan and I were working on another project at night. I had finished cleaning the floors and noticed I had not seen him for a while. I was looking for him to ask if he was ready to leave, and I heard the door to the dairy cooler open. It has loud refrigeration fans inside, so I figured he's stocking the milk or something. The door was only slightly open, so when I opened the door and walked in to talk to him, I saw him hovering over a shopping cart filled with groceries that he was putting into shopping bags. He was startled and started talking to me about some random thing, like how nervous, guilty people do, as he hurried out of the cooler. I acted like nothing happened, and we closed up the store and went home. Dylan was scheduled to open the store the next day. When I arrived around noon, he went home shortly after. I went to the dairy cooler, and the shopping cart is gone. I pulled the DVR footage and saw him arrive at work about an hour early and park his truck at the front door. Unusual. Then he rolled his shopping cart out of the cooler into his truck where he loaded all the groceries. He then locked the doors, drove off, and came back when he normally would to open the store. Since all the items were in bags, you couldn't see them, so technically, I couldn't prove he didn't buy them, unless I watched a shit ton of footage and followed him around the store on the DVR, hours of work. There was a glimmer of hope, though. One thing he stole was a jumbo pack of paper towels, so it would not fit in a bag. This particular brand of paper towel was also overpriced, so customers had not bought a single one, and there was only one pack missing from the display. I needed a little more evidence, though. I got the barcode number from those paper towels and ran a report on the computer for any transactions the entire week that contained that number. It showed no results found. Perfect. I printed that and wrote down the DVR timestamps. By coincidence, our area manager, Rod, he worked under Rocky, happened to show up that same day. I showed Rod the evidence, and you can guess what happened after that. Dylan didn't get his unemployment benefits either, LOL. Rocky hired someone to replace Dylan instead of promoting me. But shortly before then, I had finished my degree, so started a real career a few months later and got out of that shithole. I secretly gave money to my sister so she could run away from our parents. My 25 male parents are strict, religious, and emotionally abusive. My little sister, 17 female, was their scapegoat for years. They monitored her phone, isolated her from friends, and told her college would corrupt her. She called me crying one night, said she couldn't take it anymore, said she wanted to leave as soon as she turned 18. I gave her $2,000, told her it was from a scholarship, and helped her open a private bank account. Last week, she left. Took a Greyhound to a city 5 hours away. She's staying with a friend's family, starting a community college program, and said she's never felt so free. My parents are freaking out. They think she's been kidnapped by Satan. My mom is sobbing every day. My dad wants to call the police. I told them nothing. I act shocked. I say I'll keep an eye on her socials. I lie straight to their faces while texting her every night to make sure she's eating and sleeping okay. I don't feel bad, not even a little. She deserves a life that isn't filtered through their delusions. But I had to get it off my chest. I helped her escape, and I'd do it again. Thank you for watching. Write comments, put likes. Do not forget to watching other videos.